Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This is everything you need to know about the new Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 ports available now on PS4 and PS5. Some of the changes are quite controversial, so we'll be talking about those today, as well as things like pricing and any other things that are different to what you'd expect from the old games from back in the early 2010s. So let's get started. Are there physical versions of the games? The answer's no. It's only a digital release, so you can find both the BO1 and the BO2 ports in the PlayStation Store. For price, each game's base content is $40. So if you were going to buy both of them, that would be $80. But then there's the DLC, and for each game there is a season pass which contains all of that game's DLC. So if you wanted both season passes, that's another $60. So you're paying $140 total dollars for the games. However, there's a fairly large discount on for the first month of the games being around, which is specifically for PlayStation Plus subscribers. So if you have a PS Plus subscription, you'll be able to buy the games for $20 each, and the DLC becomes $10 instead of $30. So if you were going to buy both games and you're going to buy both season passes, you'd be paying $60 instead of $140. Now, one thing a lot of people will be wondering is there crossplay? Unfortunately, there is not crossplay, and the Call of Duty reasoning for this is that they're legacy Call of Duty titles, and so they work in a legacy manner, and crossplay was not present in Black Ops 1, so it isn't present now. However, there's not a workaround for this, but there's one teeny tiny silver lining. That is, if you buy, let's say, the Black Ops 2 port on PS5, it will also bundle in the PS4 version of the game. And so if instead of installing the PS5 version, you decided to install the PS4 version, you would then be able to play the PS4 version with other players on PS4. So that's sort of crossplay. It's at least directionally near to it, but it's obviously a real pain in the ass to have to download an entirely different version of the game, and if you do that, you won't be able to play with your other friends who are on PS5 playing the PS5 version. So functionally, the way to think about this is PS4 players can play with players playing the PS4 version of the game, and PS5 players can only play with people playing the PS5 version of the game. Now, as it stands right now, if you pay for the season pass and get all the DLC, that then puts you in another sort of narrower matchmaking pool so that you're matched with people that also have the DLC. But that's going to be a problem if you want really fast matchmaking time, for example, because you're no longer in the same servers that the massive wider player base would be in. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, that's the sort of thing that could change in time if they get enough complaints about it. But right now, it's worth being wary that people are buying that DLC and then kind of regretting it because of how it's affecting some of the way that they're being paired up with other players. They're being paired up with other DLC players mainly. Now, one thing that's weird about the season pass is that it doesn't actually require you to download any other content, and that's why people are having some difficulty when they buy it and then they're being matched with only season pass people, because they're like, well, I'll just uninstall it, but it's not uninstallable in that way because it isn't a separate download. It's already in the game itself. It's just it's a license basically that you get access to when you buy the DLC. And that means that in total, just to summarize, you've got 4 different server pools for players. You've got PS4 players with DLC, PS5 players, and PS5 players with DLC. Chaotic. Now, there's been a lot of questions about whether or not there's going to be FOV sliders or other graphical improvements or fixes or optimizations. Sadly, there have not been. So the game is maxed at 60 FPS. It doesn't support 120 FPS. There's no graphical improvement. There's no FOV slider. You start at level 1, even if you had a leveled up account already on PS3. And from what I've seen so far, bugs and glitches in the PS3 version will still be present in the new ports, which I think really is kind of a good thing. I mean, obviously if it was like a game-breaking thing, you'd maybe want it to be fixed, but it's kind of nice to know that some of the nostalgic bugs or little tricks that you could do are still present. However, other things have been removed. So the live play account that we all remember from the game's menu, that's been removed. I think that sucks, to be honest. Like, that was such a classic, nostalgic thing. It's something that we wanted to come back for such a long time as well. I fear that they didn't do it because they were worried that they'd essentially just mog their other titles and more people would be playing Black Ops 2 in 2026 than playing Black Ops 7. But yeah, whatever the reasoning, that's gone. And there are also no dedicated servers. It is peer-to-peer only, which is a little disappointing. It's not surprising, but it's really unfortunate. Now, one thing that is nice is there is offline play. That's good. There was a chance that they were going to just say, nah, not in 2026, but offline play still does have a place in the games. And a lot of people have been reporting that when they've been playing Black Ops 1, for example, they've had really bad performance issues, specifically when it relates to input lag. And one of the things that I've seen in response to that is that some people say, if you switch your game setting to performance mode, but then crucially also, if you drop your resolution, so you max out at 1080p instead of ever trying to play in 1440p, that will help a little bit with the input delay. Then if that doesn't work for you, go to that save data and game app settings menu and put it to game default, not performance mode. And then also, if you're playing on a monitor that's a high refresh rate monitor, you might want to try switching to a monitor that's an even multiple of 60 hertz. So rather than like having a 165 hertz monitor, you should try your 60 hertz or 120 hertz or even a 144, but just definitely don't go higher than that. Give that a try and report back to me if it makes a difference. I'll obviously make update videos if Iron Galaxy make improvements to this in the future, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those videos. Now, one thing that's cool about this is that there was certain stuff that previously just had achievements on Xbox, but it never made it over to PlayStation. But there are some other things that have had trophies removed. So in Black Ops 1, for example, wager matches have been removed, and therefore the trophy associated with them has been removed. They've also tragically removed theater mode from the game. I think that this is very sad. I kind of understand it, but theater mode was so classic back then, and it's a little unfortunate to see that that didn't make it in. Again, I get it, I really do get it, but just something that has unfortunately been killed off. And the emblem editor has not been removed, which is stunning because I've already seen some crazy emblems, let's put it that way. I've seen some really Call of Duty community designs, and they're right there in broad daylight. It's mind-blowing. I mean, it feels very 2012. The emblem editor is unlocked. I think it's at level 10. And there's also other stuff that you have to unlock as well. So 5, for example, and DevOps Arcade needs to be unlocked. You can beat the campaign and you'll get access that way, or you can use the computer and that will get you access as well. Now, all of that I was just talking about was Black Ops 1. In Black Ops 2, the emblem editor is also back. They've removed League play, which I'm sure people, to be honest, were probably expecting. And one thing that is kind of nice is they've included all the microtransactions that you could buy in Black Ops 2 for free. So all of those camos specifically are just included in the game. So as much as I feel like you're being absolutely fleeced for every dollar that you have when it comes to paying $140 for both games in their entirety, unless you're getting the PS Plus discount. That's obviously very expensive, but the reality is there is at least this small silver lining of getting those free camos. Now, in the game itself, there are some small tweaks to zombies that you guys might notice if you've got eagle eyes. For example, I've seen people like Smokey here say that it feels weird having the green ray gun in transit or in town. And that's weird for a reason, because in the original Black Ops 2, that specific design of ray gun wasn't in transit. That came later in the game, but it seems like Iron Galaxy have taken the later design and brought it back into the earlier map. But that means that the ray gun design has changed, which technically back in the day would have had slight story implications. So that's one interesting small tweak, but obviously nowadays we just look at it and say, it's just a different design, whatever, I guess. Like, that story's come and gone. And also, they've changed the perk icons. So you'll remember the later in Black Ops 2 perk icons versus the earlier ones. And so that's another example where the green run to die rise kind of era of those things has been superseded by the stuff that came afterwards, and they've just brought that back to the older maps as well. Now, one thing some of you might be curious about is whether or not they're also coming to Nintendo Switch, and they're not. So just to rule that one out, unfortunately, just PS4 and PS5 here. Now, another thing some of you might have wondered is whether or not the servers are going to be even safe to play on, or are they going to be infested with hackers? And the good news is that the games are no longer running on the old PS3 backend, and instead it's the newer PlayStation Network infrastructure that's being employed. So it should be a little safer. That said, I'm sure people are going to be doing absolutely everything in their power to hack here because they've got nothing better to do with their lives. Like, we know how this works. They don't have grass within miles of their houses, otherwise they'd be touching it, right? So with all of this information, you really now have no excuse, and you simply must jump into game and start doing some Easter eggs. I mean, it would be rude not to. So on screen right now, I'm going to link 2 Easter egg guides to 2 modern, no-nonsense videos from myself so that you can do those Easter eggs with your friends and live out some Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 nostalgia. Obviously, the good thing about things like Moon is that already got remastered in Chronicles, so my original Moon Chronicles guide is still the go-to guide for that. But I've got new Transit, Die Rise, Buried, Mob of the Dead, etc. all going up on the channel, so make sure you're subbed and click through now, and I'll see you in those videos.